In the stillness of dawn, a group of young adventurers, driven by curiosity and the desire to explore the unknown, delved into OAKIGAHARA forest. Despite the thick fog that hung over the gnarled trees and the warnings about the site's dark past, they were determined to explore the forest's secrets. As they went deeper into the forest, the atmosphere became denser and more oppressive. The silence was unsettling, broken only by the sound of their footsteps and the rustling of leaves. The feeling of being watched grew every moment, as if the forest itself was analyzing them. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the forest, cutting through the silence of the night. One of the young men, paralyzed by fear, pointed to a shadow that moved between the trees. His wide eyes betrayed the terror he felt, something that the others couldn't see. The group, now gripped by dread, realized that the forest was not only a place of natural beauty, but also a home for dark entities that fed on the fear of the living. The spirits of the forest manifested themselves, attacking the young people in cruel and merciless ways. Each of them was confronted with their greatest fears and darkest secrets. One was haunted by visions of a traumatic past, another was confronted with his mistakes and regrets, and a third was tormented by voices that whispered his greatest fears. The fight for survival became desperate. The group, previously united by friendship, was now consumed by fear and paranoia. The forest turned into a maze of horrors, with the trees seeming to come to life and the whispers of spirits echoing in their ears, driving them mad. One by one, the friends were dominated by supernatural forces. Their screams of agony echoed through the forest, as their souls were imprisoned in that cursed place. The spirits fed on their fears and weaknesses, making them easy prey in their macabre game. When the last hope seemed to have been lost, the sun began to rise above the horizon. The spirits, fearing the light of day, withdrew, leaving behind a trail of destruction and terror. The few survivors, shocked and exhausted, knew that the night in OAKIGAHARA forest had changed them forever. The forest, now silent in the sunlight, kept its secrets and waited for new victims. The group, with a mixture of relief and apprehension, left that place of horror behind, taking with them the marks of that night of terror. Ayumi, a young Japanese woman, carried the weight of an afflicted heart. Seeking solace in nature, he ventured into OAKIGAHARA forest, a place of singular beauty but also shrouded in mystery and melancholy. Ignoring the warnings, he entered the dense forest, longing for peace amid the stillness of the trees. The sun said goodbye, and darkness took over the forest. Ayumi, lost, felt fear dominate her. Whispers and voices called her to the heart of the forest, as if the forest invited her to a path of no return. He stumbled upon traces of others who were lost there, personal objects, enigmatic messages, an echo of stories of pain and hopelessness. Visions of shadowy figures danced in her mind, as if the spirits of the forest were watching her, trying to lead her to the same fate. Ayumi, staggering, arrived at a hidden clearing. In the center, a colossal tree stood, gnarled and ancient, with roots that reached out like claws. A figure emerged from the shadows, the guardian of the forest, a human-looking being, but with eyes that glowed a spectral green. Without saying a word, the guardian led her through a maze of twisted trees, where each reflection showed a different version of Ayumi, each mirror whispering about her fears and regrets. At the center of the maze, the guardian confronted her with a choice, a dry branch or a blooming flower. The branch represented hopelessness, the desire to give up, while the flower symbolized hope, the strength to move forward. As Ayumi hesitated, familiar voices called out to her, her parents, her lost love, her friends. Everyone invited her to join them in the forest, to find eternal peace. Ayumi felt tempted to give in, but something stopped her, a promise, a memory, a thread of hope that still resided in her heart. With tears in her eyes, but with a firm heart, Ayumi reached out and took the flower. The maze fell apart, and she found herself facing the guardian, who was watching her with respect. Ayumi made her choice. She chose life, struggle, hope. The guardian bowed slightly, and the colossal tree lit up, opening a path between the roots. Ayumi hesitantly stepped onto the path, knowing it would lead her back to the outside world. As she emerged from the forest, the morning sun warmed her. Ayumi was no longer the same, her eyes lost their sadness, and her smile conveyed serenity. The forest transformed her, teaching her about the strength of life, the importance of moving forward, the beauty of hope. Ayumi was now a new person, stronger, wiser, more human. Hana, a young Japanese writer, sought inspiration in the depths of the OAKIGAHARA forest. The dark beauty of the twisted trees and the aura of mystery that hung in the air attracted her like a magnet. Ignoring the warning signs, he delved into the dense forest, eager to uncover the secrets of that place. As she got deeper into the forest, Hana began to hear whispers. Faint, almost inaudible voices that seemed to come from the depths of the forest. The whispers spoke to her, whispering her innermost fears, her deepest insecurities. Hana tried to ignore them, but the voices became more and more present, more disturbing. The forest seemed to take on a life of its own. The trees moved, the shadows twisted, and Hana felt like she was being watched by something invisible. Visions of distorted faces and shadowy figures haunted her mind, making her question her own sanity. In the midst of that nightmare, Hana found a personal object, an old diary. As he opened its pages, a voice echoed in his mind, clear and distinct. The voice told stories of people who got lost in the forest and were never found. Stories of despair, of fear, of souls trapped in that cursed place. The voice spoke to Hana, revealing secrets from her past, fears she didn't even know existed. The voice manipulated her, terrified her, making her question her own identity, her purpose in life. Hana struggled not to give in to the influence of that evil entity, but the voice became increasingly stronger, more persuasive. Lost in a maze of twisted trees, Hana found herself at a fork in the road. The voice made her a proposal, a path would take her back to civilization, to her normal life. The other path would take her deeper into the forest, to join the lost souls that roamed there, to become part of that place forever. Hana, tormented by the voice, paralyzed by fear, needed to make a choice. A choice that would define his destiny. She chose the path of civilization, even though she had the voices of people she loved in her head. It was a difficult decision for her, as she missed these people immensely. After she left the forest, Hana was never the same, kind of regretting having left that nightmare, of having left those she loves, but at the same time she knew that those voices couldn't be who they said they were, because she knows they never went to that forest. But after all, who was that being that talked to her head, knowing her name and all the people she loved? She will never find out about this, because she promised herself never to return to that forest again. The group of friends, confident in their youth and fearless in the face of legends, entered the OAKIGAHARA forest. The dense forest swallowed them in its darkness, the dark beauty of the twisted trees hiding an ancient terror. They set up camp near an old cemetery, a place of charged energy, where whispers and moans seemed to echo in the night breeze. Night fell over the forest, bringing with it an atmosphere of mystery and apprehension. The group gathered around the fire, trying to shake off the feeling that they were not alone. Strange noises echoed in the forest, shadows danced between the trees, and the cold penetrated the bones, even with the heat of the fire. Suddenly, a scream cut through the silence of the night. One of the people in the group, overcome by an inexplicable fear, pointed to the shadows that moved between the trees. His wide eyes betrayed the terror he felt, something that others couldn't see. Initial skepticism turned to dread. The group, now united by fear, realized that the forest was not only a place of natural beauty, but also a home for dark entities that fed on the fear of the living. The forest spirits manifested themselves, attacking the group in cruel and merciless ways. Each of them was confronted with their greatest fears and darkest secrets. One was haunted by visions of a traumatic past, another was confronted with his mistakes and regrets, and a third was tormented by voices that whispered his greatest fears. The fight for survival became desperate. The group, previously united by friendship, was now consumed by fear and paranoia. The forest turned into a maze of horrors, with the trees seeming to come to life and the whispers of spirits echoing in their ears, driving them mad. One by one, the friends were dominated by supernatural forces. Their screams of agony echoed through the forest, as their souls were imprisoned in that cursed place. The spirits fed on their fears and weaknesses, making them easy prey in their macabre game. When the last hope seemed to have been lost, the sun began to rise above the horizon. The spirits, fearing the light of day, withdrew, leaving behind a trail of destruction and terror. The few survivors, shocked and exhausted, knew that the night in OAKIGAHARA forest had changed them forever. The forest, now silent in the sunlight, kept its secrets and waited for new victims. The group, with a mixture of relief and apprehension, left that place of horror behind, taking with them the marks of that night of terror. A family moved to an old, isolated house near OAKIGAHARA forest. They were looking for a fresh start, a home where they could connect with nature and leave the problems of the city behind. The house, despite its rustic beauty, exuded an air of mystery, as if it held long-forgotten secrets. Soon, strange things started to happen. Inexplicable noises echoed through the rooms, objects moved around without anyone touching them, whispers filled the silence of the night. The little daughter, previously happy and communicative, began to have imaginary friends, dark beings who visited her in her dreams. The teenage son, curious and restless, felt that something was wrong with the house. Intrigued, he began researching the history of the place and discovered that the house had been built on cursed land, the scene of tragedies and macabre rituals. An ancient curse hangs over the family, threatening their lives and sanity. Nightmares became frequent, terrifying visions haunted his days, and the evil presence became stronger and stronger. The young daughter, once the most vulnerable member of the family, was now the main target of the curse, as if the evil spirit was looking for a vessel to manifest itself in the world of the living. Desperate, the family sought help from experts in paranormal phenomena and people who knew the history of the forest. They discovered that the curse was linked to an ancient ritual performed at the site and that it needed to be undone so that the family could free themselves. Terrified, but willing to do anything to save their daughter, they decided to face their fears and break the curse. Guided by an ancient grimoire, they performed the ritual with trembling hands and hearts full of hope. The evil spirit seemed to give way, the house calmed down, and the family felt a thread of peace. But, deep down, a doubt persisted. Had the curse really been broken? Or was it just a truce, a moment of calm before the storm? In the end, the family did not want to live in doubt and left the house, with a mixture of relief and sadness. They looked back, at the house that haunted them, at the forest that watched them. A shiver runs down your spine. Had the curse really been destroyed, or was it just lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken and take revenge? The answer remains a mystery, an enigma that echoes in the darkness of the forest.